Sierra. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something that I'm really passionate about, but to be completely honest, I don't get to spend as much time doing anymore. I have John McGraw here today, and we are going to be talking about protecting what grounds you, leadership lessons in stewardship. And today's episode is going to cover a couple of different things. We're going to be talking about the outdoors quite a bit today, and what some time in nature might be able to do for you. We're going to be talking about some changes that maybe have taken place since COVID and getting folks outdoors and getting out on their trails and what folks might be seeing out there that they hadn't seen before. And Roots and Rocks Adventures with John McGraw. We're going to be talking about this business, what he's up to, and how folks can get involved in maybe helping to support the environment, protect the environment, based on some of his observations as well during his time out on the trail. So he has done a lot of hiking over the years. I know over 3,000 miles and was an AT through hiker. I'm talking like everybody knows what AT is, Appalachian Trail through hiker. And I'm excited for him to share about some of his adventures today, some of his takeaways, and to connect this back to leadership, because there is a true connection as to how you can lead yourself more effectively and lead others more effectively by grounding yourself. So I'm excited to introduce you today. Thanks for being here, John.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I'm going to just tell them from the beginning.
Yeah.
You came right from the trail.
I did, and did not know that I might possibly be on video, thinking this was just a talking podcast.
The real and raw.
The real
John
and raw.
McGraw.
Here I am. It's the way I look most days.
No, it's awesome. I'm so glad we get the real you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's nice to be able to be the real me.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So can you share with listeners a little bit about you and your background and what brings you here today?
Yeah. So, it's been an interesting ride. I, was kind of came from a college education, sales. Has been a big part of my life. Sales and marketing pretty much since I graduated college, bounced around multiple jobs, but mostly in the corporate world. Mm-hmm. Large business, small businesses, kind of done it all, kind of in management for a good bit of the last 20 years of my life. And but nature has always been a huge part of my life. Growing up, we lived in Leesburg, Virginia. Mm-hmm. Grew up in Leesburg, and we had 10 acres of our own, which was nice. But we backed right up to a farm that was about 1,300 acres.
Wow. And
the farmer, Mr. McIntosh, who still owns some land in the general area of Virginia, I believe, or his family does. I'm not sure he's still alive, but he gave my family access to his land, and we kind of protected it for him. We would go out there, and we did everything from hunting, fishing, hiking. We had three-wheelers at the time, and we basically kind of patrolled his land, but we also had use of it. And man, I'll tell you, it just became our playground. And my dad was a huge avid outdoor guy. We camped all the time up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and so I always had that in me, and mm-hmm. and taught my children as well. But just getting out there from time to time. But it really started to manifest over the last, I would say, 10 years, that this is something that is more than just a hobby. Mm-hmm. This is something that I really, truly have a passion for and being involved with. And at the same time, struggled with this corporate setting, right? The stress, the pressure, mm-hmm. It's great to be great at your job, but sometimes there's a price to pay for yeah. that. And your hours increase, your time, your experience, everything just, and so I would say things really started to come to a head. So in 2021 is when I backpacked the Appalachian Trail, and it was there was a spiritual component for me of making that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that nature was a calming, a grounding effect for me. It was something that always brought me back. I dealt with anxiety. I dealt with, stress and that kind of thing ongoing. And I pretty much looked at my wife, April, at the time, I would say probably about 4 months before I decided to go, and just said, I want to do this. I want to backpack the Appalachian Trail. And one thing led to another. She was very supportive, and so getting out there and just living that experience and the spiritual aspect and really connecting, in a way that I never have before. So when I got off of the AT, I said, I'm never going back in the corporate world again. This is it. I've got to find my calling is in nature and being outdoors and outdoor. And I'm like, I've got to grab hold of this. And my wife, April, and her friend Marissa, they had Roots and Rocks Adventures existed. It was a trail running oriented company. And they were trying to kind of incorporate that into the local running community more. And they'd done a little bit with it, but it was kind of sitting stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, and they did dabble in the hiking. They did some day hiking with it. And I thought, man, this might be a great concept. But I was also like, I really want to give back to the AT community. So a shuttle service, and I was kind of working on that. And I was Ubering and I was bartending and going, hey, life is great. And I got sucked back into that corporate environment. And I learned so much peace and patience and understanding of myself when I was on the trail. And it was interesting how quickly a lot of that dissipated. A lot of that, I wouldn't say disappeared, but it just kind of like got pushed under, It was there, but it was, and next thing I know, back to the grind.
Yeah.
And then my youngest son graduated high school 2 summers ago. And I was working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And I had told myself that when he graduated high school, I was going to spend so much time with him out in nature that summer. We were going to do all these things. And next thing I know, he was going to college.
Oh, man.
And I was like, whoa, that was like the summer just was gone. So I went to my employer and I talked to my wife, and we sat down and talked about it and said, I just can't keep going like this. And I went to my employer, and by the way, not to mention the fact my physical health, when I look back, was definitely there was a toll being taken. So I went to him and I said, listen, I got to step back. I was general manager, and I said, I really love the company. I want to stay on, but I can't take this role on this role. It's just too much. So they were very understanding, very helpful. We came to terms with some things. Well, long story short, it just didn't work. And so come this past winter, we went separate ways. A week before me and my wife were going on a cruise, which was just ended up being an awesome thing because we really took time to consider how was I going to get involved in nature? How was I going to get involved in the outdoors? How were we going to make this work? And we just brainstormed the whole time on our trip, basically, and came off of that boat like, hey, we've got a direction for you, John. Like this, we know what we want to do. And then that's when it just kind of started, and we really kind of hit the ground running and got the business really founded on the hiking and backpacking side.
That is such a cool story. I love it. You have so many skill sets, though, that
Yeah.
can really support you in what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And I feel like no matter who you meet out on the trail, you have so many cool things that you can talk about from this,
Yeah.
array of different life experiences. So I use the word grounded and grounding at
Yes.
the beginning of the episode. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So you hear it a lot. You know, you hear that terminology used in team building and coaching, and I think the thing for me is grounding is being present.
Okay.
I think that's probably the number one aspect of grounding. You know, we're constantly, like I said, a whole summer went by. Like, we're constantly, can't wait till Friday because then the weekend will be here. And then the weekend's over and it's like, it's Monday again, and it's this constant of, and grounding yourself brings you present, brings you in the moment, whether it's good or bad, whatever you're into at that moment, whatever you're feeling, whether it's anxiety, whether it's stress, whether it's euphoria, just feeling those emotions and those feelings and sitting with it.
Right.
And I think nature is an amazing way to do that.
So for you, this is your life now, right?
Yes.
And you get to do as much of that as you want. But
Yes.
for the average person in corporate America now, they're listening, saying, "I don't have time for that," automatically, right?
Yep.
But we're always told you have to fill your own cup. You
Yes.
can't, help others if you haven't filled your own cup first.
Right.
So we have to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
So how would you say? Like, what's the in between? How can someone that's just stepping in and getting their toes wet really experience the benefits that you're talking about without leaving their job and
Yeah. Right.
being out on the trail
Right.
with you full time?
Right. Yeah. Well, one of the approaches we take at Roots and Rocks is that the hiking experience, being out in nature, being out in the forest. First of all, it doesn't have to be a through hike.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be a full day.
Yeah.
Going to some of the battlefields around here, going to the Museum of Shenandoah Valley, and just getting out there and being amongst that natural setting and that environment. So little things you can do, and on a corporate team building side, just because let's face it, that's a difficult thing with hiking and backpacking. Let's say that you're a leader and you feel like this is a great means to to kind of get everybody together and get that grounding and breathe in that nature. But you've got somebody that maybe can hike a mile, and you've got somebody else who's an avid hiker backpacker.
Yeah.
So finding that middle ground, and that's why it can be a path, it can be a short distance, or it can be a longer distance. So it's whatever you want it to be. It's just being present in that environment.
Yeah.
Forest bathing, which I'm certified in, and my wife is as well too, really plays into that. And one of the things that we stress with the forest bathing, which is basically mindfulness in the forest.
Not literal bathing.
Not
in the
literal
forest.
bathing.
Yeah, so if you can explain exactly what takes place.
you could add that in. I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of water sources out there that you can jump into. But yes, thank you. Yeah, so forest bathing actually is a Japanese practice, and it always fails me that Japanese term for it, so apologize for that. But
okay.
the American terminology is forest bathing. That comes from that, and it's that mindfulness approach. And so what we do is honestly, it's learning techniques to get out there and just kind of do some exercises and techniques with people, and kind of teach them so they can do it on their own, as well too. And it can be as simple as standing silent and still and taking deep breaths, which I just did with 8 middle schoolers on this backpacking trip that I just came from, and they loved it. And and they felt it, And, so it doesn't have to be elaborate, but I
Yeah.
do believe that the calming effect, and by the way, there's more to it than that mental state. Trees actually produce a chemical called terpenes.
Okay.
And terpenes, it's a way that trees communicate with each other, but they help heal each other as well too through this channel of chemicals that they release. Well, the forest bathing stems from this Japanese practice of the mindful approach, but also understanding that we also breathe in these terpenes, and that has an effect on us as well too.
Oh,
So
okay.
calming, anxiety related stress can so if you ever notice, and people say all the time, oh, go out in the nature and you're going to feel so much better when you come out, and while you're out there you feel, well, there's actually science behind it. It's
Oh.
not just
Yeah.
the beauty and being like sitting there, oh, this is gorgeous. There actually is this connection that we have. We come from nature. We'll return to nature, and it brings that in. So you're that can be applied in a way that I think is beneficial to those environments where everybody is having that stressful, that anxious, work-related environment.
So I was just thinking about the fact that when you say mindfulness and being present, to me, the biggest challenge with that is, okay, a thought comes in, oh crap, I got to do that. That's due by that date. Gotta write that down before I forget it, right? And then it's like, oh, gotta focus on John. We're talking to John right now. Oh crap, I forgot this, right? And so, is there like, it's like building a muscle, I feel like, to like be able to block out those thoughts when they pop up. Like, nope, not thinking about you right now. I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like over time people grow in that and it becomes easier and easier to really be in the moment and not have all those distracting thoughts? Or will those always be there, John? Because I need to get rid of them.
Okay, so I love that you bring this up, because one of the things when I get in my car to go somewhere and things are hectic and I'm really busy or whatever, is I'm always like, while I'm driving, I'm going to look up at the sky and look at the clouds and look at the trees as they go by.
And maybe the road.
And
that too.
I don't want to. Yeah, let's be careful out there driving. But just kind of glancing and taking it all in. Mm-hmm. How many times I get to my destination, I'm like, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, you can't beat yourself up over it. You just got to try to, to do it. But yeah, certainly like anything else, meditation, whatever else, I feel like the more you do it, then the more it's going to, come to you. And we have, me and April actually have a mentor. And one of the things that he always says that I think really helps me out a lot when I'm in those situations is to actually physically tell yourself to lay it down. Go ahead and think about it. Think about that task you need to do. Think about that problem or whatever else, and pull that all and like think about it all in your head, and then just lay it down.
Okay.
And just let it sit there while you're in that moment and you're being present, and and bring that back, and come back to yourself. Come back to yourself. And I think it makes a huge difference. And yes, like any other thing, you'll want to do it more because it feels good to do it.
Right. So, like, take me back to your trip in 2021.
Yes.
Okay. How many miles total was that?
So I did half of the trail.
Okay.
I came off for an injury, so I did 1,000 miles in 85 days.
Okay. It's a lot. I'm imagining you, like, maybe journaling a little bit. Did you pause and do some journaling and some reflection? Like, I'm trying to imagine what took place in your brain over that period of time as you were kind of like sloughing off all of the old stuff that had been weighing on you, and at what point you really were present.
So I had all intentions of journaling.
Okay.
I did not. I did for like the first week.
I thought you told me that.
And I mean, 50 years old out there doing 15, 20 miles a day. At the end of the day, like, I want to set up my camp.
Yeah.
It became one of those things where it was over time. It was just that over time, like, nothing's easy out there. One of the things that you come to realize real quick is you have to have patience. You have to have that ability to sit back, let things go, take it all in, breathe. You know, 3 o'clock in the morning and your tent gets flooded out and all your stuff's wet and it's 30 degrees outside and the wind's howling. Look on the positive side, the wind's blowing. I can hang my stuff up and it dries. Literally sat on a stump for 3 hours waiting for the sun to come up one time, shivering because all my stuff was wet and I had it all in trees drying, going, can't wait for the sun. Can't wait for the sun. You know, yeah, you don't have a lot of dishes, but you know, you're cleaning out your stuff that you're cooking with. You're going down to a stream. You got a little camp towel. That's your only means. You know, so all these things. You know, something happens with your tent. You need to try to repair. All these things that you encounter, and it just kind of over time it just brought me to the realization that all that stuff out there is noise. Like all that stuff that we encounter in our civilized world there's so much of it that's just noise, and that we get anxious about and we dwell on and we, you know, and it's not important.
Yeah.
And you know, so I came back with just this different perspective because of that environment, that setting that I was in for that period of time. I remember one time joking because while I was out there, at one point gas shot up to I think like $4 a gallon, and everybody's like, "Oh, you know," and and I'm not gonna lie, I still got on technology sometimes, you know. So I got on Facebook and I'm reading about this and everything. So I put out there and I was like, "Gas? What's gas? What do you need gas for?" Like, you know. So, you know, it's just it's stuff like that. Yeah, it really is, and so. So yeah, I think for me it was just keep coming back to that present while I was out there. Just keep, you know, every day that you're out there and you're in yourself, you become more and more in yourself, and you realize that all the other stuff is noise.
It's just not important.
Not important.
Yeah. So, did you learn anything about yourself on that trip?
Oh yeah. Yes, I did. I
mean, way to put you on the spot, right?
No, I mean, it absolutely was everything. My intention was to do the whole trail. Yeah. And I came off for an injury, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
So you know, it's the spiritual aspect of it was still there. Like, I mean, 85 days, 1,000 miles, like, you know, that's a lot of time to be by yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd hike with some people from time to time, and I'd meet up with people, but I purposely slowed down and sped up so that I was, you know, I had that time. And, yeah, so yeah, I learned, that I had it in me to be able to step away from those stressful and anxious situations and to care about myself, and to believe in myself and that I'm important, and being present does all that. It brings all that into to the equation. So I think, you know, I just over time, and I walked out of there just with a totally different realization of what life is about.
But now, like, you want to be able to help other people realize that for themselves without making them go through that same experience, right? Because maybe they're not interested in that full experience. So I think that's so awesome that you find yourself doing what you're doing now because of it. Because
almost like the Cliff Notes.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes version.
Here's the Cliff Notes of, so you don't have to be out there. You can be out there for 2 hours and do it. Wait a minute, you can be out there for 2 hours and do what I did in 85 days? That blows my mind.
Yeah, no, it's it's kind of cool to think about it that way, though,
Yeah.
because that's what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
taking the lessons you learned and you're
Yep.
showing people and putting things into perspective and helping them to kind of escape all the noise, even
Yes.
if for a short period of time. And hopefully they can see the impact and choose to come back and do it more and more and incorporate it in their lives. So
And I think
makes
we're
sense.
seeing, and after COVID especially, I think we're seeing more and more of that. We are
Okay, that's
seeing-
where I was going next. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
So tell me about that, because I know you're also kind of in tune with the numbers and as far as how much people are getting outdoors and compared to prior to COVID. So how has that changed? What shift has been seen?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So, I think one of the positives that that COVID created was that desire for people to be by themselves, to spend time alone, and I think that getting outdoors was obviously the best means for that, because everybody was telling you don't stay indoors together and wear masks and everything. So how do you get away from all that, having to wear a mask and feel like you're breathing other people's? So I think people really started getting out there, and it saw a huge influx of everything, not just hiking, backpacking, but kayaking, mountain biking, rock climbing. All the outdoor adventure things just became really really a big deal. Excuse me, a little tickle in my voice.
No, you're fine.
And so which is great. There was some negatives about that, which we can talk about as part of my passion too. But the positive was that people were understanding that nature was giving them this relief.
Yeah.
And the shift we've seen has continued. In fact, if you look at the numbers for the Virginia tourism, outdoor adventure is the number one biggest tourism industry for Virginia, many other states as well too, but in particular looking at Virginia. And what you're seeing is all demographics, whether they're low income or very high income. Like the very high income that would come into our area from DC area, for instance, that normally would come and go on a walking mall and shop and hang out at restaurants. They want to do these things. They want to go hiking. They want to go mountain biking and kayaking. And so this surge has just, and that's kind of been the push of the tourism industry in Virginia, is to really promote that outdoor because of that. So it's a trend that's continuing to rise and not fall, even though it was brought on by this, unfortunate situation that we went through.
It's funny you say that, because when I want to go hiking with Matt and Caleb, we get out on the trail and we're like, there are so many people everywhere. So it's also this, man, we can't walk anywhere without people all around us taking pictures, doing this, that, and the other. So it's not as relaxing as it used to be. It's like people figured out our places, right? But what are the negative effects of having so many people out there? Because it's great, but what are some of the challenges now that we're facing because of that?
Yeah, that's a great input, because it's a double-edged sword. We want to see people out there. We want to see them getting back to nature, but unfortunately, not everybody knows how to do it in the right way. And not experience it correctly, if you will. So one of the things, so I'm involved in the PATC, which is the Potomac Appalachian Trail Club, and the ATC, which is Appalachian Trail Conservancy, which are both very big organizations on the East Coast that deal with everything from trail maintenance to education of the trail. And I think it's vital for these agencies and for volunteers that are involved in these agencies to educate. Like, for instance, there's a big campaign that recently that we've really been pushing, Leave No Trace.
Okay.
And Leave No Trace is guidelines for, there's specific guidelines actually, like they're actually set guidelines, and you can pick up a pamphlet or go online and look it up. And, these are things that you should be recognize and cognizant of when you're out in nature. Everything from, how to deal with your own waste when you're backpacking. That's obviously a big one. To just respect of wildlife, invasive species. We're seeing a huge influx of invasive species, especially plant life, just because of the transition of people coming from other places into the area. You know, people get out there and they don't understand that the trails are purposely put in places for a reason, and we need to stay on the trails. And because then you can start to be destructive if you're kind of just running around and and creating your own path. So you know so we really want to educate people. We want them out there, but we want them to understand that we've got to respect this environment, this nature, because that's it. This is all we have, and we can lose it, or we can improve it. And I think if we improve it, then we just give every additional generation and people that are novice and not experienced the opportunity to get out there and see this beauty, and then hopefully while they're out there recognize that they can also ground themselves and find this other just wonderful benefit from being out there. It's also more vital now than ever too, because unfortunately we are seeing a hit to our state parks and our national parks, our park services, employees, the staffing, so volunteers are even becoming more of a need to pick up a lot of that slack, and these organizations that I just mentioned are great at teaching and educating us as well too. I'm a trail maintainer for the BATC on the Tuscarora Trail, and it's not like I just went out there and decided that, there's techniques, there's things that they teach you we have workshops all the time and classes, and anybody can be involved in those. But I would say, you can just go out and find these organizations, and they are, in desperate need of a volunteer.
Yeah, when you were talking about the Leave No Trace specifically, it made me think of just last week. In my Leadership in the Wild focus, do you know Della DeHaven?
Yeah.
Okay. She was in the spotlight for me. Della spoke at Women of Winchester a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about leaving a mark on people, but not leaving a scar. And it made me think of that when you were just talking about Leave No Trace, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's awesome that people are getting out there, but do we have to do damage in the process, right?
Yeah.
We really need to be thoughtful in leadership as well about the impact we're having on other people. We don't want to leave a scar, right?
Yeah.
Are you having a positive influence on the environment around you and the people around you? And same thing when you're out in the woods.
And I think it correlates to all forms of leadership and in that type of environment, that it just takes one little act. And grow from there. You see a water bottle that somebody left, plastic water bottle somebody left behind. You pick that up.
Yeah.
Somebody else picks up another one. Somebody else and so just being conscientious of one little act makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of makes the hair stand up to think about how that can just snowball into, keeping our trails and nature clean.
It really can. I don't know how many times this has happened to you, but for me, I will see, anywhere we go, not even just on trails, right? I'll see something laying there, and there's this like internal battle of, I wonder how nasty that is. Should I touch it and throw it away? And come on, Sierra, you don't need to do that right now. You don't have to do something everywhere you go. And then it's like, I will turn around and walk back and no, I can't. I have to. But it's the same thing out there. Just that one thing could really make a difference if everybody stopped and picked up one thing, right?
Yeah, because everybody that is dropping something is offset by everybody that's picking something up.
Exactly.
Right? So, you just kind of offset that and maybe that's the way to think about it, so that
Yeah.
you know, say, hey, this one little bottle,
Yeah.
but you know, it wasn't 100 people that left that bottle. It was one person. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. We'll balance it out.
balance it out. Yeah.
That's my goal now. I'm going to think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's actually really helpful
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
think of it. Because I don't know, in my mind, I want to take on responsibility for everything that I see, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm just, as long as I can balance out with one other human, we've got this.
Well, there you go. That's a great perspective for you, and I can see that.
Yeah. Okay, so you talked a little bit about the organizations you're involved with.
Yes.
And I've had some episodes before where I talk about just service in general and finding what you're passionate about and where you want to get involved. And we can't do it all, but we all tend to find something we're passionate about and then find a nonprofit, some sort of
organization
organization that we can kind of pour into and give back, whether it's time, talent, whatever it is.
Right.
If people wanted to get involved with those organizations in any capacity, what would be the first step?
I mean, this day and age, you know, technology, you can go Google, you know, any of the, you know, organizations, just, you know, you can do trail organizations or nature organizations. The ATC and the PATC for our area are going to be the biggest ones, but there certainly are other ones you can get involved in. So, you know, I think it's just as in again, not being overwhelmed. Like, if you give one day a month, if you give 1 hour a month, so don't make it seem like it's well, I just, you know, I don't have
like
time.
all or
I don't
nothing.
like everything, you know, like everything we do, right? We're always like, well, I'm already, you know, doing all these things and one more thing, you know, but they're so appreciative, all these organizations, that, you know, if you gave just that little bit of time, you know, nobody's going to be like, oh, well, you only did, you know, 1 hour this month, or you know, you're not going to get that. They're going to be so thankful and grateful for that. So yeah, and they can certainly, I mean, people can contact me, and I'll be more than happy to put you in touch with the folks that, you know, are in need, because I talk to them on a regular basis.
Okay. So let's talk about a little bit more about roots and rocks, which, by the way, it's hilarious because sometimes they say rocks and roots, and I have to like memorize is it in alphabetical order or is it the opposite every single time before I say it? But it's roots and rocks.
You want me to let you in on a little secret?
Yeah.
When I first started the company, I did it backwards
Did
half
you?
the time. Like, I would go to like a networking thing or
Oh my
something,
gosh.
and I would sit there while they were going around the room, and my head go roots and rocks, roots and rocks, roots and rocks.
So it's not in alphabetical order. That's what I have to tell myself.
Yes, roots and rocks adventures.
Yeah. It flows better that way.
It does once you, but
Once
but
you get
we,
used to
you
it.
know.
It's so funny that you were
But
doing
I
the
do
same
get
thing.
I do get rocks and roots. Definitely get it. Yeah.
So I want to be very clear in what it is you do, because we
Yes.
kind of talked around it a little bit. You've talked
Yeah.
about middle schoolers. You know, I
Yeah.
want people to grasp what they can experience if they reach out to you. So can you give a little bit of an idea, the types of packages you're putting together, all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So
I'm making you do the work on the spot.
Well, it's funny too, because me and Sierra were just talking about the fact that I'm finally starting to put like the pieces of the puzzle together. So that's why she was kind of smiling when she said the packages, because we've had some discussions earlier on where it was kind of like grabbing this, grabbing that. So, you know, my vision honestly is I really want to help the novice. You know, whether it's hiking, backpacking, corporate, whatever, the people that just are intimidated, maybe, you know, let's say by going out and going on the trails and experiencing this. They really want to, and I've had that, you know, it's been great. I love when I get the person that's just like, I really want to get out there, but you know, I'm not sure, and I don't know, you know, I'm scared, and I'm out in the middle of the woods, and there's wild animals out there and that kind of thing. So, you know, my vision is, you know, I really want to work with those folks. I want to educate on the trail, everything from the leave no trace to, you know, this is the ins and outs of trail markers and navigating, to this, showing you as we go along, these are the things we do for drainage and runoff to protect the trails. This is why you want to leave this undisturbed. These are invasive species, so incorporating all that, and then that gives them the tools to then go from there. Local trails is huge. We live in such a beautiful area in the Shenandoah Valley. And yes, the Shenandoah National Park and the big name parks, the Blue Ridge, Parkway, all outstanding, great trails. But my gosh, we have so many really cool things we can see on trails that people would never think about. And I want to promote that as well too. But I want it to be adventurous. I want it to be, fun and kind of combine, having combinations of things like, for instance, one of the packages that we do is a sunrise hike. It's a very straightforward mile with some headlamps on, but it's a straightforward trail. You go to an overlook. We serve like a little just yogurt and granola and fruit breakfast, watch the sunrise, and come back down.
It's so cool.
That's
a great place to start for somebody.
It is, and it's also great for if you've got people coming from out of town, friends or family or whatever, and but even as little as like Cool Springs. Some people know about it, some people don't, and it's right over the river on Route 7, and Shenandoah University owns it.
Yeah.
And it used to be a golf course. But my gosh, it's like a nature trail. It's an old golf course that even has paths. So if you were somebody that was not sure about your footing, or maybe you have walker or, canes or something, and you're just not, these are things that I want to introduce people to, that they can say, you don't think, oh, okay, I'm going, 3,000 foot elevation gain on all this rock and weeds. And no, there's, so just introducing that to people and having them experience these things when they're intimidated or not sure.
Yeah, there's so much value in that. Just having someone that knows the trail and can identify what's a good fit for you based on your skill level at that time, I think is important. I was thinking about, I grew up in the sticks and my family had me outdoors all the time, but I haven't gotten to debrief with you since I went to the Tetons with Dad.
Oh, yes.
But, and that's a whole story, but I will tell
you. They're always a story.
There's
and
always
that's what's great about it, though. Isn't it good or bad?
Yeah,
that's what's great. There's always a story.
Yeah.
Memories.
You don't think about how you have to be so strategic about what you pack for the day. Yeah. Like, I think that's value, and what you can do for people too is help them to see these are the things you should have on your back if you're going out into the wilderness for the day. People don't think about what you need in case of an emergency, right? You are that person, and you're there for them.
Great point.
So I think that's important. And two, I thought I was like pretty brave. I am not. I was scared of the bears, like to the point where it's all I could think about.
Yeah.
Dad would be like, "Okay, are you ready to like have a little snack?" And I'm like, "But what if the bears smell it? Like, I really don't want to eat it." And like, I'd have like a Ziploc, and I'd want to put like the trash in the Ziploc and tuck it away. And I'm like looking around full time. I'm like, "Okay, Dad, let's review one more time. If I see a bear, tell me what do I do, because I've read it this way and this way, and I'm not sure which one to follow." But I was terrified. And so I think about people who have truly never been out in the wilderness. Like my students, when I used to teach in Fairfax County, they had never been in the woods before. Like it was so unfamiliar to them. Yeah. You think of those people, they must be so terrified. If I'm used to it, and I was still like panicking and didn't know what to do. So I love that, you are so experienced and know what to do in different situations and are a resource to people. So I think it's a no-brainer if people just want someone to come along and be there to show them the way, right? Versus know how to properly prepare them. That it's going to be a great experience with you.
I would love for you to be a lifetime customer or client of mine. But for me, it's more important to get you out there, experience it, feel good about it, want to do it again.
Yeah.
And, if you use me again, great. But if you go off on your own, great too. Like that, now you have the tools and the resources and the knowledge to do it correctly and to respect the natural environment while you're doing it.
And share it with someone else, because that's what it's all about, right? And then
yeah.
they can share it with someone else. And
Absolutely.
you're influencing so many people through that.
I love that. Yep.
So I think it's so cool. Okay, so I wanted to do our 3 little segments we always do here at the end. So starting with leadership in the wild. Who have you seen leading well that you want to spotlight?
In the wild?
Oh, well, it doesn't. That's just what we call the segment. It just
okay.
happens to apply better to you than anyone else.
Oh, okay, because I wasn't thinking along those terms before, so now I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. In the wild would be, you know, honestly, does it have to be a person or can it be an entity?
Let's go for it.
Okay. I mean, I think the Appalachian Trail Conservancy
Okay.
is the leadership of that group is outstanding and astonishing. Like what they're dealing with, you know, 15 states that this trail passes through, different leadership, different natural environments, different volunteers, and the fact that they put so much time and effort into organizing this and keeping it's a well-oiled machine, like you, and it's just so impressive to me. And I think they have had just such a far-reaching. I mean, the Appalachian Trail has just had a far-reaching effect in everything from corporate to nonprofit organizations around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that come from other countries to learn how this organization operates. And it's from the top all the way down to the smallest, you know, volunteer. And it's phenomenal to see that years and years and years of this organization existing, and it just continues to thrive.
Yeah, that's great. You're the first one that's chosen an entity, and so now I'm going to break the rules too and piggyback off of yours. Okay. Patagonia.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that based on values. So I, truthfully, if I'm being completely honest, did not used to think about sustainability practices at all. Like I just didn't. And my parents have been wearing Patagonia clothing outdoors since the beginning of time. I like wearing the same thing for years and years. And Dad started telling me about Patagonia Provisions. And I don't know if you know this or not, but they do food and stuff now too. And sustainable sourcing of fish. And like, that's all we ate on our trip, by the way. Okay. And I have in the cabinet in here, I have sardines and every kind of canned fish that you can think of.
And tortillas, right?
Tortillas?
No tortillas?
No.
Oh, man. No. Tortillas are your best friend on the trail.
But I watch the way that they're running that organization and the decisions that they're making based on sustainability. And it's just opened my eyes to things I just honestly hadn't been thinking about. And so I go there and shop there before I typically look other places now. And that's all the clothing my parents wear full time now. Even when they're not on the trail, they're wearing Patagonia clothes and sporting it. They're eating Patagonia crackers at home when they're not out on the trail. And it's just cool to see because they believe so much in the values that Patagonia believes in. And you just see it shining through in everything that they do. And you can see the impact it's having on people. So
I am so glad you brought that up. I am so glad that was because, man, that made the hair just stand because one of the things we're seeing is shift in the industry. So I also work part-time for Mountain Trails Outfitters here in Winchester, and they are very much advocates of brands. And there's so many brands out there, existing ones that didn't used to do sustainability, that didn't use recycled materials, that are switching to that, and new ones on the market. And this stuff's phenomenal. Like what they're doing with recycled, and then they're also really promoting fair trade and making sure factory conditions, and it's amazing the outdoor industry has jumped on full bore with what you're saying. So I'm glad that was
we
something.
piggybacked off of one another.
That was great.
I'm glad we both broke the rules on this today. Well, I'm just telling you, if you're looking for good mackerel for out on the trail, their mackerel is amazing.
Okay.
get some.
All
I
right.
might have some in the cabinet in here.
I'll have to
I'll
try it.
send some with you.
I'll have to try it. Definitely have to try it.
So good. I don't know if you eat that sort of thing.
Well,
but-
so a big one for me is I carry the tuna and chicken packs
Okay.
around because they're lightweight, easy.
Yeah.
And you just put them in whatever. Like, I mean, whether you're making ramen noodles or macaroni
Yeah,
and cheese,
so true.
it's always just a good way to add some protein
Yeah.
to whatever you're making on the trail. So yeah, fish is a good one.
So funny where we ended up on that one. Okay, so next piece here, we always do Leadership Unscripted. So for those that have never listened before, these are listener submitted questions, challenges that folks are facing, and we're going to unpack them together to see if we have some ideas of how we could support this individual. So John, we always make up a person's name because this is anonymous. So who do you want this person to be today? You get to pick the name.
Like just any name?
Any name. What's the first name that pops in your head? Ready, go.
Malvin.
Malvin. All right. Malvin or Melvin? I've never heard of a Malvin.
I know. I think I meant to say Malvin. I think I had two
made up
names.
a new name?
I had two names in my head, and I was
Malvin and Melvin?
so I just combined them.
All right, Malvin.
So we're going with Melvin.
Okay. This week's says, we're going through a big change at work and everyone seems burned out. I feel like I need to motivate people, but I'm just see, I'm talking like you now, John, but I'm just as exhausted as they are. How can I lead well when I'm struggling too? I feel like everybody's experienced that before at some point where they're like, how do I continue to function and appear to have it all together and lead effectively when I am drowning too?
Oh,
Have you experienced
absolutely.
that, John?
Oh yeah. I mean, in the corporate world, if you don't go through this at some point in time in your career, then you're not caring.
You're not trying hard enough.
You're not trying enough. You're definitely Because
Yeah.
I mean, this is huge.
It's
yeah.
pretty common. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? What immediately comes to mind for you? How can I lead well when I'm struggling too?
Well, I mean, the cliche is communication is the key, right? I feel like we always are going to come back no matter what we do to communication.
Yeah.
And I think as a leader, you can't be afraid to let those that you're leading know how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, bring it out in the open and say, listen, guys, I'm feeling this too. I don't want you to think you're alone in this. And you know, I think then you kind of brainstorm with each other, like, you know, how can we get through this? What do you guys need from me, and what do I need from you, so that we're both not exhausted, and you know we're able to work through this. And again, I mean, it goes back to kind of what we were talking about too. Like, anybody can practice some of these techniques for anxiety, stress. I mean, just sitting still and quiet and doing some breathing exercises. Like, I feel like in the corporate world, people are afraid to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know, like, why? Like it's not woo-woo, foo-foo necessarily to just take some time to breathe and take some deep breaths in and just be silent and still with yourselves for a few minutes, and it gets the juices flowing, I think.
Yeah. Well, you took my idea.
Oh,
so I was
okay.
I was just going to say what you said about just being transparent and be a little vulnerable and like don't dump on them and tell them everything that you're experiencing. That might not help, but just sharing your own struggles in a way that you're modeling vulnerability and transparency. And I love what you said about let's brainstorm together how we can get through this.
Yeah.
Maybe some micro milestones. Let's identify some key milestones we can hit as a team and celebrate success together, and what would that look like, and focus on those little wins and little celebrations. But I love the idea of brainstorming with them and letting them be a part of solving this problem and feeling like they're not isolated, they're not the only ones experiencing it.
And I love that too, because like one of the things that just hit home with, so I just did this backpacking trip with these 8 middle schoolers, and one of the things that I was realizing is I had to give them some markers towards the end, when they were getting to mile like 8, 9, and they would start being like, it's that whole like, are we almost there then?
Yeah.
Are we almost there? Like they'd be like, how many more miles? And you tell them 3 more miles, and then 100 yards. How many more miles? So one of the things I started doing was trying to find some of those markers and some of those things to be like, and it's amazing. It's amazing what the brain will do to if it's you shorten that, or even myself. Like if I'm doing an elevation gain, 3,000 foot elevation gain in a mile, and I give myself a spot, and I say that spot right there, I'm going to get to that, and then I'm going to take a little rest, and I'm going to get some water.
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden it's not you. You can overcome it.
Yeah.
It's not too much to deal with.
It's such a good point. I used to do that as a runner all the time.
Yeah.
There was always the next spot in my head.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I identified it. I need to get to there. But I didn't take the break. Once I got there, I'm like, oh, I'm good now. I'm picking the next spot.
And sometimes it just happens, and then you're just like, okay, keep going, keep going, keep going, and the next thing you know, you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I can think of for this is also really looking at ownership of tasks and responsibilities and seeing if there's anything that needs like redistributed amongst the team, and talking about what you do well, and where can we help each other out as far as complementary skill sets, and see maybe you have people on the team doing things that are just always going to be draining for them.
Yeah.
And how can we move some things around to make sure people are doing the things that they enjoy the most too.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you're not feeling comfortable with what you're doing, you are going to be exhausted, because your brain is working overtime trying to figure out something that's just not your forte.
Yeah.
Then, a lot of times it just takes a leader coming to you going, listen, I understand this may not be your thing. Either let me help you.
Yeah.
Or somebody else, or let's move that task and change things around, and that can be a huge relief.
That's why I like open conversations about where you're thriving and where you're not are so important, because if I can come forward and say, hey guys, I really love this, but I'm struggling with this right now, it gives someone else the opportunity to say, really, I love that. Like, let me help you.
Yeah.
And it really, I feel like it also helps empower other people to grow in different areas. Yep. Okay, so I'm curious, in your business, what is the thing that weighs on you where you're like, if I never had to do this part of running a business again, I would just totally outsource it?
Sierra, I am 90 years old when it comes to technology. If it wasn't for my wife, we would. So recently, I actually switched from Android to iPhone because my wife has an iPhone, and she got tired of trying to figure out my Android. So she said, "We're getting you the same type of phone, so that way I can help you." Yeah, technology is a huge struggle of mine. I gotta tell you, I get super frustrated with it, and it just seems like it just doesn't come natural to me at all, and I struggle with things that are simple for a lot of people that just kind of overwhelm me. So I just try to take it slow, kind of try to work through it, and technology it's never been my greatest asset.
I feel like mine. Social media in general.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, for example, with the summit, I looked at the sheet today. We have 200 unique graphics that we've made for social media postings for the summit. I feel like I've said it a million times. I don't have a creative bone in my body. So having to try and come up with an idea and be creative, I try to lean on Matt or Erica or someone to help me with it. But then the caption and then the posting of it. And when you go to post, I get distracted by the other stuff on the news feed. I don't want to look at people's stuff. Like, I just don't want to, because it sucks you in.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm getting on solely to post. I'm not going to look at anything else. And that's why I have a 15-minute timer on social media so that I don't go over.
Yeah.
But I just find having to post business stuff on social media to be so exhausting, because it's also frustrating. You don't know how many people are seeing it. A lot of times people aren't engaging, and people are like, well, they might not engage, but they still saw it. And so maybe it stuck with them anyway. And everything for me is like data driven. And I'm like, prove to me that me taking the time to create this post really created business.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. Somebody can take
say,
that off my plate.
And they're always
forever.
like, you have to do it every day. You have to do it every day. If you're not consistent, And it's so hard to
Yeah.
do that every day and come up with something that's going to catch the attention. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is. So we all have the thing, right?
Yeah.
And we just need to find someone in our life to help us with it. Like sounds like April's helping you with tech, and I'm leaning on Matt and Erica for social media.
Yeah. And
But
we all,
it just makes me think about this person saying like I'm struggling too. Well,
Yeah.
what's on your plate that you can ask your team to help you
Yeah.
with?
I mean, there's so many people around us, you in your network, me and I in our own little networks that are so willing to step in and help out if
Yeah.
you're just willing to, reach out.
It's so
and it's
true.
been huge
Mhm.
for the kickoff of my business since the fall. I have so many good mentors, in this area, you being one of them. And
Aw,
it's
thank
just,
you.
it was so helpful in my mind when I was starting this business to think about the people in my network that I trust and know and that give really good and care.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much easier because you're like, I know these people will be there for me.
Yeah. Well, when you do as much networking as we've done over the years, like
Yeah.
that's how we initially
Yeah,
met,
absolutely.
is through B&I.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people.
Yes.
But when
Yeah.
you're right, when you sit down and you really look at who's going to be there and who
Yeah.
can I depend on to help me during
Yeah.
this time, it's a much smaller list.
It's a smaller list, but it's usually
impactful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So, final thing for today is always our branching out challenge. So, what do you want to challenge our listeners to do based on what we talked about today?
Get out into nature.
Okay. Well, that's easy.
Get off the couch, get out in front of the TV, get off of social media, and get out into nature. Even if it's just for 30 minutes at first a day, just in your backyard, at the Museum of Shenandoah Valley, Jim Barnett. I mean, all the places we have around here that have nature-oriented aspects to them, the battlefields. Just get out there and breathe. Just breathe.
I love that. It's great advice. And once you're out there, you love it and you want to stay out there.
Yeah.
So it's just like the gym and working out. People
Yeah.
dread it. And then once you get there, it's like, oh my gosh, I feel
Once you
great.
start to feel the effects,
Mm-hmm.
you can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you become John McGraw and start a business so you can be outdoors all the time.
Well, maybe you can collaborate with me, but don't start your own.
You are a great collaborator. Well, thank you for being here today. Where can people find you and your business?
So Roots and Rocks Adventures LLC can be found. We have a website, obviously. We also are on Facebook. And listen.
Wait, do you post every day? I'm sorry, I had to.
I was sitting there when you were saying that, and I was going, "Oh
Wait,
my gosh,
I'm sending them to my social media. Did I post there?
Yeah, no, I didn't, and but
okay.
I will
Go to
be
the
posting
website
on this
instead.
one. But go to the website. But my thing always has been, and you know me, Sierra, call me, text me.
Yeah.
My phone number's all over everything. I do not mind. Like I tell people all the time, like just. I'll talk. Let's just talk. Like, let's just sit down and chat about it. Like, people come into mountain trails or when I'm volunteering at the ATC, I just like to talk to people about being out there and just, so don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I'll make sure your website's in the show notes so people can find it easily.
Okay.
And I appreciate you being here today and adding value to our listeners.
Well,
Hopefully they listen to you and get outside.
Hopefully they do, and hopefully they continue to listen to your pie. You do a great job, so I appreciate you as well, too.
Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today and sticking it through to the end of the episode. I really hope you did find value and share it with others in your network. Maybe you can find a friend to get outdoors with you. That always makes it more fun, too. So be sure to subscribe if you are not already. You get these updates every week at noon Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. So you don't have to think about whether or not another podcast came out. You will get that notification, and be sure to tune in on your favorite podcast platform. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can go to branchingoutpodcast.com and submit an application. And if you want to submit a challenge that you are experiencing, you can shoot us an email at info@branchingoutpodcast.com, and we can use that as our Leadership Unscripted of the week. So I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep branching out.